Volume 3, Chapter 7 Past, Failure, and Withered Labyrinth. Sato's here. There are many tragedies where the hero doesn't come to save the day. In fantasy world, I would have liked if it's a happy ever after ending. I failed to make my hometown prosperous using the knowledge from my previous life. Even if I'm like this, I was a princess, said Arisa ironically. In the beginning, it was working well. But then it began to be failing unnaturally and the kingdom became ruined, plunged into civil war, and occupied by the neighboring kingdom in the end. What did you do? Just normal agricultural reforms, like making fertilizers from leaves and manure, 4-wheeled farming tools, some basic administration cheats. I've never heard administrative cheats lingo, but I put the pieces together from the administrative and reform parts. Even if you fail, could that even ruin the whole kingdom? That's why I said unnatural. The mountain where we collected leaves for fertilizer died off. A massive insect monster outbreak came out of fertilizer which was fermenting. Planted covers and turnips which had restored the land withered it instead. Indeed, those were some fantasy-like phenomenons. But if we add unnatural to this, that means someone was interfering, was it? Yes, but I only knew long after the fact. At that time, I thought it was because of the difference between Earth and this world. I was really depressed. I even got called Witch of the Lost Kingdom, or Mad Princess. So those titles were because of this. It wasn't because she used mind magic to manipulate the king to create a harem of pretty boys for her or something, huh? Still, if the intentions was to occupy your kingdom, if the neighbor kingdom didn't gain any profit, there was no meaning to it, isn't it? Laying waste to the other kingdom to get it, didn't they get their priorities backwards? They didn't care at all for territories of a poor country. They probably just wanted the withered labyrinth below the castle. After our country was occupied, they made a public execution of the king and the crown prince for the sake of calming down the populace. Tears are falling out of her frustrated face. Then the remaining princes and princesses were gathered, and they said this. This country was destroyed because of your foolishness. You people are not qualified to be royal families. They made the court magicians to put coerce on the princes and princesses, starting from me. Live as a slave until you die. I was blaming myself for the destruction of the country, so I willingly received that gias and became a slave. I take out a handkerchief from the storage, using underbed as a cover, and wipe her tears. Why was it had to become slaves? It was for the sake of reviving the withered labyrinth I told you earlier. We couldn't escape if we become slaves. Since it was gias and not contract, only a country is able to cancel that. She grabs the handkerchief along with both my hands and continues. Every month, when it was full moon, they sacrificed one person in a suspicious ceremony inside the labyrinth's interior. 1 year later, the labyrinth was resurrected. When the ceremonies were over, only me, who had the taboo hair, and Lulu, who was an illegitimate child, remained. Our confinement was moved from the tower to the royal villa near it. I don't know why they didn't dispose of us right away, but we were probably spares if the labyrinth ever to wither again. Her grips are loosening its strength. And then, another tragedy struck when the next full moon happened. A demon appeared. The castle and the town surrounding it were destroyed. The royal villa where we were was burnt down too. I and Lulu ran and took refuge onto the mountain. Arisa was forbidden to go out by order, but when the castle was destroyed, their master seems to have died in it. Thanks to that, they were able to escape from the villa. I thought that we have no choice but to be burned to death, but Lulu's indication became Master, none. Thanks to that. If I was alone, then I'd have died just like that. Arisa put my arms to embrace her and sits on my lap. Since she's trembling a bit in my arms, I let her off. Then we just wandered around in the mountain, and just as we were about to die, we got picked up by the wandering slave trader, Nidoranshi. Since slaves who don't have masters can't enter into the town, so I wouldn't be sold to some perverted nobles, I used hide skill to hide my skills, and Lulu also pretended to have a loss of speeches. She leans her small head to my arm. Her expression is invisible. Wouldn't it be better if you used mind magic to make Nidoranshi to treat you two like daughters? That's right. I was too desperate to hide my skills. When I realized that, I was already under the contract to be Nidораnshi's slave. You could just use magic after that. I could have died if I was careless trying to do that and violated the contract. Wait a minute. I make Arisa to face me. Didn't you just abuse your magic to push me down earlier? Why was the contract not violated? She looks up to me and smiles wryly. Because that's a service from a slave. I properly made the oath during the contract, right? I will vigorously attend to Master without rest, day and night. That's why I used every ounce of myself, including magic, to service you. She puts her hands on my side while looking like expecting something. So embrace me, indulge yourself on my unripe body. While trying to hug me, I shoot her down with a chop. By the way, who was that demon? I don't know. I didn't directly see the demon. Only heard it from Nidораnshi's talk with the other merchants. I only knew that the town around the castle was burned down and it went somewhere after. Maybe it came to steal the revived labyrinth. Is it like the arm demon? Gathering power in the labyrinth? I talk about it to Arisa. So the uproar that Nidoranshi got involved into was about the labyrinth? Her face is close. Bracing myself, I push back the oncoming Arisa. While talking about the demon's raid's disturbance, the armed demon's making of the labyrinth, summarizing them all, the silver mask hero was omitted. You mean a new labyrinth was made? Seems like it. Is it a point to be surprised about? There are only 6 living labyrinths in this continent. The last labyrinth which appeared did so 100 years ago. A labyrinth will appear in the place where the corpse of a demon lord is. That's what was written in the books. That armed demon said it was created for the sake of complete resurrection, so I thought that it was just a recovery type shelter item. It's not such a cheap thing. That's a legend class artifact item. I wonder what the objective is. To produce demons to fight the hero, maybe? Ignoring my nonchalant answer, Arisa ponders with a serious face. I'm alright with you hanging your hands onto my shoulder, but please stop circling my waist tightly with your legs. Are there earth veins in this area? It seems there is one called Dragon's Valley. She says that with a serious face while looking up. Fine, but why are you pressing your thin breast? If the arm demon's goal was to recover one arm, then it probably should have been over. I think the full recovery would take many months. It could probably move around in its former form in a short period. And that thing is underneath our feet, chilling. She's shaking. I don't know how long is short period, but Xena-san and Al, who are on the labyrinth's entrance, are in danger. You're awfully knowledgeable. Almost like Nadi-san. I've read most of the books in the castle's library. The letter printing in this world is really small, you know. Arisa outraging. Do you know, when you read books and gain new knowledge, you accumulate experience points. Thanks to that, my level went up even while secluding myself in the castle. I see. This isn't a game after all. You can gain levels even without going into battle. Tell me if you know this. Of course, Master. While rubbing your face against my chest, don't grope it with your fingers. In this world, to fight against a level 62 demon, how much force would you need? What are the levels of the best pieces you can prepare? Around 48. Then if you equip them with 6 holy attribute weapons, and the party balance is good, you can win. There aren't 6 of them. Level 48 magician is 1 person. Upper 40s are 3 people, and lower 40s are 2. It will be harsh, but if there are 10 level 30 people as backup in turns, then I think they could somehow do it, although there probably would be many sacrifices. She stops playing with her fingers and looks over here. Master, you sure know a lot about this town's forces. Aren't you a merchant? I know an acquaintance in the military. Also, although I call myself a merchant, I've never done any commercial business. Master can't afford 5 slaves regardless. Well, yeah, I got a lot of magic cores from the labyrinth after all. I won't have money troubles for a while. The monies are actually things I pillaged from the dragons. but it seemed to be troublesome, so I just misled her here. I grab her hands, which were playing around on my chest above, seemingly misunderstanding something. She closes her lips shut and attempts to kiss me. I push her back, peel her body off me, and lay her beside Lulu. I put on a cheap robe and cloak, and going out of the room. Where are you going? Hearing that, sleep until morning, I ordered Arisa and got out of the room.